Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Frenemies. I am coming to you live from the center field wall at Wrigley Field, joined as always by David Swor, who is coming to you live from Tennessee Temple University, Ingalls Stadium. David, you got some good seats tonight, buddy. It's good to see you, man.
Yep, good to see you too. DJ, I thought you were going to say live from the fourth place team in the National League Central, but you left that part out.
Wow. Unbelievable.
Oh, man. starting off strong here.
Hey, it is frenemies. We have to hate on each other.
I see why you call it frenemies. I see why you call it. Talking nice beforehand, now it's the gloves are coming off.
It's on. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you can't say too much about TTU baseball, now can you, these days?
That's true. What am I going to tell him back, you know?
You can't counterpunch. Yeah, it's like it's like at least you still have a wallet.
We are happy to be joined today by a former college teammate of ours, Micah Miller. It's great to have you, buddy. You are not coming from anywhere really cool, but you're probably coming from your house, which is awesome. So, hey, you know.
That's right. I like to be humble coming from my house. Keep it real.
Well, it's great to have you, man. We're going to get into a lot of stories of TTU. We're going to talk about your high school baseball career, your college baseball career. We're going to get into all that and your Atlanta Braves coming up later on in the podcast. But David, man, I wanted to kick it off tonight with we spent the last 3 weeks on our podcast debating up and down the Hall of Fame. And I kid you not, David, I got the feeling when I was watching that show for like the 3-hour pre-show that they had before they announced it that nobody was getting in, because you could just tell by everybody that was on there, they were more interested in talking about Hank Aaron's death and all kinds of different things besides anything Hall of Fame, related, and ended up being nobody got in to the class of 2021. David, what are your initial reactions to that?
Why do we have the Hall of Fame, DJ? Famous people don't get in it for various reasons. I told you this through text. Because of people's stance on the steroid, the PED issue, here's what's going to happen. Less people are going to get in, and the people that do get in probably aren't going to be deserving. So who's the big mover in the Hall of Fame this year? It was Scott Rowland. Scott Rowland's not a Hall of Famer. I like Scott Rowland and all, but this is where we are. There's going to have to be a compromise. DJ, there's going to have to be a compromise on who gets to do the voting, and there's going to have to be a compromise on the ramifications, or not the ramifications, the qualifications to get in. I saw an interesting thing today, DJ. What if with regards to PED, the only people that would definitely be out would be the people who had a positive test? What would you think about that? It would open the door to a lot of other players who maybe have a steroid cloud around them. And there's a bunch of them. We've already decided and agreed that there are PED users in the Hall of Fame. So what if we just said, hey, if you tested positive for a PED, you're eliminated, and let the chips fall where they may after that?
You know what? I'm not totally against that, and I'll be honest with you. And here's why. Because, David, it seems like every time the ballot comes out, you go through these guys, and if they have a sniff of anything against them, you automatically are like, no. And it's not really fair to some of these guys. I'm pretty sure that most of them did do it, but maybe not all of them. I guess you never really can know, obviously. But if you did test positive, you should definitely be left out. I kind of like that one, to be honest with you. I'm not totally against that. There's going to be some guys coming on the ballot for the next round that are definitely really shady, that are going to complicate things even more with this ballot. But I think that's a good way of doing it. I really do. Something's got to happen. I really I can't believe no love for Sammy Sosa. It baffles my mind that he's not even close on this thing with all these other guys, raising their numbers that were PED guys too, obviously. I don't get it. Nobody really got big jumps, like you said, except Scott Rowland. Todd Helton went up a little bit, which is good to see. Kurt Schilling went up by 1%, so he's the first guy to be left out of the Hall of Fame because of his politics, which is an absolute joke too. But I don't understand it, man. It was a complete letdown. And then the whole fallout from Schilling wanting off the ballot. And I think they're going to deny that, but what a mess, man. It was completely an awful day. There was some baseball news that day, which kind of saved it, but it was overall just a terrible show and a terrible ending to it. So what a heartbreak, man, no doubt.
Terrible.
So Micah, I got to put you on the spot here just for a second. So we had debated for 3 weeks about some of those guys that were on the ballot, and I want to ask you your thoughts on 2 guys that played in Atlanta for a long time down there, and what your thought is as far as Hall of Fame credentials when you think of these players. Now I'm putting you on the spot because you probably don't have their stats in front of you, but when you think of these 2 guys, do you think Hall of Fame or do you think just kind of missed it? 2 of the guys were Andrew Jones and Tim Hudson. What are your thoughts on those 2?
Well, they both had great careers, and I might be a little biased, but yeah, let's get them in there. Let's get them in the Hall of Fame. I think Andrew Jones, he definitely had a really good glove. He showed some speed. He could have come through for us more at bat sometimes, but I think he should be there. As far as timing goes, maybe I'm trying to figure out when he actually retired, but it seems like he hadn't retired too long ago, so maybe some of the other guys go in there first. But I think definitely over the long haul, he should get in. And same thing with Tim Hudson. But, it seems like I told you guys, I don't know, I haven't been following baseball too closely coming in here, but if I'm not mistaken, he didn't transfer, but was traded to the Braves there towards the end. Is that correct?
Yep, you got it.
There we go. So I'm learning as I go.
Andrew Jones performed pretty well on the ballot, and Tim Hudson did not. That shocks me. 220 wins in the steroid era, and I'm thinking about 10% of the vote, DJ. Is that right?
I think he snuck on with 5.8 or something like that, and Mark Burley got 11%, which still blows my mind that Burley got better than Hudson. I really believe Hudson, when you look at his numbers, is a Hall of Famer. I'm going to vote for him next year. I've convinced myself that he deserves it. Andrew Jones, I think, is right there, but in his 30s, he fell off tremendously. He was pretty bad in his 30s. A couple more seasons, he would have got there, but I don't blame you, Micah. Like we were talking about with him, his glove was one of the best defensive center fielders of all time. And if you're putting borderline guys in there that are really close, he would definitely make sense. So very disappointing news on the Hall of Fame front. That was just awful to go through 3 weeks of just debating these guys and nothing comes out of it. So like you said, I hope something actually does next year with some guys getting in, hopefully, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm like you said, I've been totally out of it. So just for the listeners, so basically they didn't even induct a Hall of Famer?
Not one.
Wow. After all that, huh? Well, I guess it is COVID year, right? So I guess it makes sense for something like that to happen.
Yeah.
It's like we've been waiting around.
400 sports writers get to decide who goes to the Hall of Fame. And so in some cases, it's a popularity contest. A lot of guys like Jeff Kent, for instance, weren't well loved in the media. He's an obvious Hall of Famer. He didn't move at all. If I remember seeing the results, DJ, kind of stuck in the middle of the pack there. They got to get it out of the baseball writers' hands. You know what would be really awesome? Baseball could be a little bit more proactive and try to get fans involved in this thing, man. You got a couple guys that were in the late 60s and 70s in the percentiles. Man, let the fans vote one of those guys in if they have a year where somebody's on the fence or whatever. But baseball doesn't do stuff like that. And we can talk about that a little bit later. They wait till the last second to make moves. They put out the 154 game schedule today, and doesn't look like it's going to pass, DJ, according to what I'm seeing from the players union. So, here we are. We're kind of stuck in limbo again, but they got to do something about the Hall of Fame. It's a mess.
Yeah, it is. And 154 games instead of 162 is dumb. Play the full season. I don't know what in the world we're trying to prove by playing 8 less games, and we're going to be safer somehow for it. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life, and that's pretty much all I got to say about that. So we'll move on. My guys, there's about 5 guys I'm going to zip through real quick here that passed away this week. We're going to talk about real quick. Mike Sadik, 5'9", 165-pound catcher. You do not have to be big to play the game of baseball, which is awesome. Made professionals there with the San Francisco Giants. 8 seasons with them from 1973 to 81. His best season in 1980, 1 home run, 16 ribbies, and a 252 average. His career, he had 74 ribbies and batted 226. Also spent 1981 to 1999 in San Francisco's Community Relations Department. So he was with the Giants forever, advocating for them when he ended his career. Also in the 1996 movie The Fan, Mike served as Robert De Niro's body double when throwing a baseball. So that's pretty cool. He had a little acting career there as his catcher, and I guess he had a great sense of humor as well. Passed away at the age of 74. Tom Acker was a righty pitcher from the Reds from 1956 to 1959. Spent 4 seasons with the Reds in the MLB. He was 19-13 in his career with a 4.12 ERA. His rookie season was his best when he went 4-3 with a 2.37 ERA. He was primarily a relief pitcher. He died at the age of 90. He served in the Army in 1952 and 1953 after the Reds drafted him in 51. These old-time players are awesome that also played baseball and served our country. In high school, Tom led his New Jersey high school to 3 consecutive state titles in 1946, 47, and 48. Very cool. And he was 9-0 his senior year on the mound, which is awesome. Next guy is Don Leppert. He died at the age of 90 as well. He played 1 season for Baltimore in 1955. No home runs, 2 ribbies, 8 hits, batted 114. But Michael, we talk about this all the time. These guys that just played 1 season in the MLB, they played 1 season more than all 3 of us combined. So if you make it to the pros, that's pretty awesome. Even if you batted 114 and had no homers and 2 RBIs, you made it to the show. So congratulations to Don Leppert on making it to the show. He also served military in 1951 and 52, which cut into his career. And you guys, I tell you, like, these guys that served in the military, it had to have affected their career. So maybe this guy, would have stick around longer if he didn't serve. But what an awesome thing to do is serve your country when you're a major league guy. Married to his wife for 67 years, and they had 6 children. So he had an awesome life, and his legacy will move on from now. So very cool for sure. The next guy, Dick Smith, 5'8", 160, also a small guy, third baseman, died at the age of 94. Played with the Pirates from 1951 to 1955. No home runs in those 4 years, 11 ribbies, 25 hits, and a 134 batting average. He went on to coach Penn State baseball as an assistant coach. So went on to the college level as an assistant coach. So rest in peace, Dick Smith. And then Paul Foytak, 86 and 87 career record. So he was pretty relevant. 4.14 ERA, lasted 11 years from 1953 to 1963 with the Tigers, and then 1963-64 with the Angels. And he was born, David, in Scranton, Pennsylvania, baby. Home run the office. So that's the 5 guys that I had. David, I think you had 3. If you can run through those real quick for us.
Yep. Pedro Speedy Gonzalez, 63, played in 63 to 67. Career 244 hitter, played first base, second base, and right field. Played for the Yankees and the Indians, now known as the Cleveland baseball team. Not really. But short career. Best season was actually his last season. Then I had Ron Sanford. He played from 54 to 59. He was a shortstop, played for the Giants, the Tigers, and Washington, the Senators. And then I also had Ron Johnson. He was a player who played from 82 to 84, also managed in the minors, and the father of Chris Johnson, major leaguer from our era, guys. Second in the batting title, Chris Johnson played 9 seasons partially with the Braves. Died of COVID at 64 years of age. He managed in the Kansas City organization, Baltimore, and Boston. He was also the Boston third base coach for a year. So those are my 3 guys.
Very cool. So we lost 8 more former major leaguers this week. Pretty crazy. Hopefully we're not having to talk about that coming up here, because it's kind of getting a little depressing with all that, to be honest with you. So David, Micah, the Toronto Blue Jays have upgraded their team even more. One of the busiest squads in the entire MLB right now is the Toronto Blue Jays by far, and they took a giant step forward this week, mainly by signing Marcus Semien, who was third in the MVP voting in 2019 with a 33 bombs and 92 ribbies, batting .285 that season. 747 plate appearances, which led the majors as well, and 162 full games at shortstop for the A's. Looks like the Blue Jays are putting a winner together, David. Looking really legit. They also added Steven Matz, the lefty. I'm not as impressed with Steven Matz as you probably are. I don't know if you are or not, but I'm not a fan of him at all. But they added a little depth, if anything. So, David, are you even more worried about the Blue Jays after these moves, or how you feeling now?
I hate to admit I was wrong. I don't normally like to do that, but I thought Marcus Semien would lose out on the shortstop sweepstakes. They gave that dude $18 million, DJ, and he has been awesome at times in his career, but he's also been very average at times in his career. He's a career .254 hitter. He doesn't really get on base. His calling card is he's a great fielder. And DJ, they're moving him to second base. So I thought that was kind of crazy. Originally, they were talking about moving Bo Bichette to third and getting a better fielder at short because apparently he's not real good there. So he's going to second base. And DJ, not sure I'm paying $18 million for a .254 hitting second baseman. That's all I'm saying. So does it make them better? Probably a little bit. Could they have been just as well off with Colton Wong at second on a one-year deal for about $8 million less dollars? I don't know. So we'll see. I'm still not 100% believer in the Blue Jays. I think they need another pitcher at the very least. I think the bullpen is very shaky unless Kirby Yates turns it around, but they will be able to hit. So I can't blame them for going for it, but I'm not sure it's going to push them over the finish line.
Do you think that they're the second best team in the AL East then?
Yes.
Okay. Micah, what are your overall thoughts of the New York Yankees?
Well, going back to what he was saying, I think that the guy is a really good agent. Just gonna throw that out there.
Exactly.
I'm like, how do you do it as an agent for signs? But Yankees, man, it's one thing I just don't like talking about. I'm sorry, I just got to put this more of a Braves guy. Put this on. I know that we this is a Florida Gator edition Braves hat, but yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything positive to say about the Yankees. I don't want to step on any toes. I know it's friend to me's, but I want to be mostly friend, and then we'll hold off on the enemy part. So, but yeah, I mean, hopefully, I guess hopefully New York plays a season. I'll just go with that. That's all I can say.
But DJ, what do you think about this move? So what's your gut feeling on Semien to the Blue Jays?
Well, to be honest with you, I like the move. I really do. And I don't know, David. I think the Blue Jays have a little bit of a rotation here that they can do a lot of different things with. They can move Guerrero to third. They can put Biggio at second. They can put Semien at short. They can put Bichette wherever they want to. And they still got Randall Grichuk, who has now moved to the bench. So these guys are deep, and they've got options. So I'm not against this. David, I really didn't believe that they were going to go all out like they have been, to be honest with you. They're going at it, man, and they're not afraid, and they're starting to get pitching to this team. I really believe, even if there is no expanded playoffs, I think the Blue Jays might have pushed themselves into a playoff spot by getting a wild card. I don't think they're better than the Yankees. I just don't. I think the Yankees are still the team to beat in the American League, in my opinion. Unfortunately, I hate saying that. But I know Toronto's up there, man, and the wild card is looking really good. If they do expand the playoffs to what they had last year, they're a shoo-in. They're even way better than they were. So I like it, man. I really do. They're being aggressive. And, the last time you could really say that the Toronto Blue Jays were aggressive like this was 1992 and 1993 when they won back-to-back titles. So I don't think they're that good as those teams, obviously, which had a lot of borderline Hall of Famers and some Hall of Famers on those teams. But they're getting there, and they got a lot of prospects, and sky's the limit for these guys, man. They are absolutely legit and loaded. So, David, Andrelton Simmons to the Twins. And I'm going to ask you on this one too, Micah, just in a second here, because this is a former Braves shortstop here for a long time. he is considered somewhat to be the best defensive shortstop in the game by some people. And the stats kind of back that up a little bit, David. And he's 31 years old. He's batting ninth this season for the Twins. He's going to play shortstop. He hit 297 last year with no home runs, which is kind of a weird stat. But he is 10 home runs and 62 ribbies in 162 game average. So he's good at producing ribbies at the shortstop position. He's also won 4 Gold Gloves. So I like this move by the Twins. I think it was a step up from what they had for options there. So David, what do you think about Simmons to the Twins?
Yeah, I mean, he's a great fielder. My understanding was that the Twins were wanting to improve their defense. So they got one of the best, if not the best shortstop. He's not much of a hitter. The Twins still need Nelson Cruz or Marcelo Zuna or somebody along those lines before I'm really scared of the Twins again. I do like their pitching staff really well. I thought it was a sneaky move getting Jay Happ. We talked about that last week. So yeah, I like this move for them. It's just a 1-year deal. So if they don't like it, they can move on next year, but should improve their defense quite a bit.
So Micah, having Andrelton Simmons at shortstop for the Braves all those years behind those pitchers, that had to be a lot of fun. What were your thoughts about watching Simmons play defense, especially when he was with the Braves?
It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed watching them play, and I think it's actually a great move for the Twins. They're going to really step up their defensive game. But just throwing out a scenario now, they do have DH available, and considering his weakness at the plate, is it possible for them to DH the shortstop and let the pitcher hit if they're in a better situation? I mean, I'm just throwing out this scenario. I mean, it could happen. Is that illegal? Is that a legal move?
You can do that. Okay, you got to watch out for.
I mean, look, hopefully Simmons isn't listening. I mean, if he is, look. But someone's got to tell you the truth, right?
That's awesome, man. Have you imagine having the Kenta Maeda up there swinging and Nelson Cruz is hitting for Andrelton Simmons? That's awesome, man. Very good drop in there for sure. So, yeah, that's a good move by the Twins. They're just making themselves way better so they can overtake the White Sox in the Central and win that division yet again, and then lose to the Yankees in the playoffs like they do every single year. So that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, if I could just chime in, like Simmons, he really does have a good heart and he tries his best, but
That's awesome, man. That is so good. So the Phillies, David, the Phillies were really busy this week as well, man. And Hall of Fame was a bust, but JT Realmuto did sign that day. Kind of gave us something to talk about there a little bit for that day. JT is 30 years old, and Didi Gregorius, who also is back with the Phillies, is 31. These moves kept the Phillies relevant in a tough NL East. I really believe that. JT is the best catcher in the world right now. He's averaged about 23 home runs and about 80 ribbies in the last 2 years, batting about 275 with about a 333 on base percentage on average with 80 runs in the last 2 seasons. Those are his average numbers. So really good for him coming back. And David, as you know, having him with the Yankees all these years, Didi Gregorius is a very underrated shortstop. I was looking at his numbers today, and I just can't believe, he's up there in the numbers wise, man. He's got 40 ribbies in 2020. That was a nice year for him RBI wise in a crazy shortened season. And from 2015 to 2020, his RBI totals are 56, 70, 86, 87, 61, and 40. So the man produces at the plate, man, no doubt about it. Sam Fold is doing well so far. I love it. Now maybe they can go one game above 500. What do you think, David?
That's what I was going to say, DJ. This cements them in 4th place probably. Seriously, third maybe at best case. This is tough, man. If I'm Sam Fold, I would have had to really think this through because the Braves are loaded, the Mets are loaded, the Nationals improved this year. So do you think that these 2 moves, are going to push them into the playoff picture? Basically push them into 2nd place. I'm not sure that it does. So I would have been real tempted to push the sell button, to be honest with you. But kudos to them. They're right up against the luxury tax. They spent $200 million. Dave Dombrowski, He's good at getting other people's money and spending it. So, hey, more power to him. I definitely respect the fact that they're trying to stay competitive when a lot of other teams aren't, but I'm not really sure it moves the needle.
So, Micah, I wanted to ask you this as we're talking about the National League East here, where the Braves are, obviously. So, as a Braves fan all these years, I want to know who is the team in the NL East, especially probably, that you hate the most as a Braves fan?
That I hate the most. I'd probably have to say the Phillies. Going back to John Kruk. I mean, bad childhood memories. And also like their mascot. I mean, what is that thing? You know, it's up there. It has it's green and it looks like it has like a ingrown trumpet or something in it. You know, it's like a saxophone in his mouth. And he's up there like shaking his belly. I mean, it's just awful to see. So as a kid, yeah, I definitely had some traumatized memories. And they play it over and over again as they beat the Braves. You know, they'd show that little mascot thing, and it just would crush me as a kid.
Yes.
That is awesome, man. It's the Philly Fanatic. I still think he's one of the best mascots in sports, but that's an awesome answer, man. No doubt about it. So,
yeah,
Dave,
I'm a little biased.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
And a little scarred.
John Kruk in the Phillies, baby. Oh my goodness. So, David, we had one of the craziest trades that I've ever seen happen this week with the Cardinals and the Rockies. And I'm still kind of shaking the dust on this. We've got to kind of try to break this down as best we can, David, because this is a confusing one. Basically, what happened is the Rockies just said, we got to get this guy out of here. Gave him $50 million in cash and the best third baseman on the planet, and said, take him for a fifth starter and 3 prospects that are like 23 years old that nobody even knows. So how did this come together? What are your thoughts on this? I'm still baffled it happened. You had heard rumors, obviously, that Arenado was on the block, but I didn't think that the Rockies were this dumb. It's a stupid trade. They got nothing back. What in the world, man? Talk me through this.
So I haven't actually seen the return. I saw just as we were coming on the show that they completed the trade. And from what I saw from, I think, Tom Verducci, the guys that they got are high end from the Cardinals, but several of them are a little ways away. So I won't judge the return just yet. But the fact that they had to pay somebody $50 million to take him blows my mind. And, I wonder how much the splits go into it. So Arenado's OPS is like 150 points lower away from Colorado. And so obviously Arenado's on a Hall of Fame track, to be honest with you. I don't think that's arguable, but we're going to find out if it was for real. And so I wonder if that was an issue. Honestly, for a player his caliber and his age, he's really not owed that much money. So this one is a little bit hard to figure out. But kudos to the Cardinals. Again, they're going for it. They're going to make that division very interesting now. They're going to be able to hit with about anybody. I'm not sure about their pitching at this point, but kudos to them for going for it when everybody else was sitting on their hands.
So
I bet this makes sense, doesn't it, DJ?
So here's my thing. So I liked Arenado, David, but now that he's a Cardinal, it's kind of okay with me because I really can dislike him. I can see the Cubs fans are really gonna not like Arenado anymore. I promise you that. And I can see him fighting Rizzo, and he's gonna be like the new face of the Cardinals now. Yadi's gone through now, and he's probably gonna stick around for one more year. But Arenado's gonna be that face, and let's be honest, he's got a face you want to punch. So I'm just being honest, putting it out there. So
man,
yeah,
he needs a mask.
Yeah. Put a mask on that boy, because I want to punch him if he doesn't. No, but he had to waive his no trade clause with Colorado and get a no trade clause back when he got to the Cardinals. So that's all the things that we're working here to try to make this trade work. I'm still like, this is crazy. He obviously hated the Rockies GM. He signed a huge deal, and then a year later he's gone. I just can't believe you can't make Nolan Arenado happy, and bring in some guys, some free agents, just build around him and Trevor Story. I don't get it. Stupid. You bring in a few offensive studs to that team, hitting it at Coors Field, and you're a legit contender. And these guys came out of the gate in 2020, David, as the hottest team in baseball for a while there, and then they completely fell on their face. For a while there, they had the best record in the game, and I'm baffled. I hate it. I'm still not sold on the Cardinals, though, David. You got Goldschmidt. If Harrison Bader is terrible, I can't stand him. But if Dylan Carlson, if he can, be the prospect he's supposed to be, you got Goldschmidt, who I love, and then you got Arenado. But other than that, man, I'm not sold on this offense. I'm not sold on that pitching. So they got better, no doubt, but I don't think this puts him in the favorite of the driver's seat at all in the NL Central. So, Micah, I had one question for you on this trade. So, if you were to play at Coors Field, Micah, how many bombs would you hit there every year?
Oh man, so hard to count. But I'd say a modest 25.
Okay.
Modest
Okay.
25.
That works.
Yeah, but I mean, if you include batting practice, then it'd certainly be maybe 75. But
that's awesome, man.
I gotta give it to the environment there. It's thinner air. The ball goes further, and let's just be honest. I can really hit a baseball far. So
yes, sir.
But it's been a while. But of course, it's Coors Field, so there you go. It's like face the Rockies.
Hey, my question about Coors Field: if you can hit a ball farther because of thinner air, wouldn't it make sense that you could throw it harder too?
It would. It would.
That's true.
Doesn't seem to pan out that way.
The harder they throw it, the further it goes.
Yeah, that's a good point. Comes right back at you even faster. So there's no doubt about that. So yeah. David, we had Daniel Murphy retire, and our predictions, I kind of thought he would go back to the Mets and try to go back to where he got famous. And but Daniel Murphy had a good career. And it's kind of hard on me, David, because he was a Cub for a season there, and I'll never remember him as a Chicago Cub. He was okay with the Cubs.
Okay.
He was
I
okay.
looked it up because I was going to ask you about this. DJ, he hit 330.
Yeah.
He hit 330. He raked with the Cubs.
That is true, but I cannot get over what he did to us in 2015. So he needed to hit 400 for the Cubs to make up for destroying our World Series hopes in 2015 by himself. He was that good in 2015. The Cubs would have won the World Series in 2015 and 2016 if it wasn't for Daniel Murphy. And him coming over hitting 330 wasn't enough. He needed to hit 400 and lead us to a World Series title. Otherwise, he never made up for what he did.
That's the worst logic I've ever heard, DJ. Wow. I thought you were going to get on here and say how awesome he was with the Cubs that year. I mean, I looked up his stats. I mean, he legitimately stepped it up when he went to the Cubs. Just because he beat you, man. No respect.
No respect, man. So congrats to Daniel Murphy, though, on a good career. He really had and he was a good hitter, man. Left-handed plate. I thought he could play for a year or two more, but sometimes you just kind of got to go. And I guess he kind of realized the writing was on the wall. Maybe he's banged up pretty bad, and it was just time. So, David, I'm going to kick this to you for our Yankees update for this week. So what did the Yankees do? I know we had a big move here with Tanaka going back to Japan, but what else is going on in Yankee world?
Right now, Yankees, really there's one more shoe to drop, and that's probably Brett Gardner. I don't know what the holdup is as far as contract goes. The Yankees are right up against that luxury tax. So I think they only have another $1 million, maybe $2 million to spend to account even for some off-season moves and that kind of thing. Tanaka went back to Japan this week. He pretty well made it known it was Yankees or nothing. And the Yankees just kind of decided to go a different direction. I hated to see Tanaka go. I've always wondered what Tanaka would have been had he not had the elbow tear. Remember, he was on fire when he had it. And still a great pitcher. I tell you, man, I really respect these Japanese pitchers. The Yankees had Kuroda in days past, and they know how to pitch, man. They know how to hang in there, and I've always really respected that about him. Even when Tanaka didn't have good stuff, he could seem to hang around, and he didn't close the door on coming back maybe next year. So we'll see. I'd love to have him back, but he took the money, went back to Japan, and I can't really blame him.
Yeah, so I don't blame him either. He had a really good career for the Yankees. This 7-year stretch there was probably what they wanted out of him and more, to be honest with you. And I was thinking about this a little bit. It's like you kind of blame these Japanese players. They come over here and they're making all this money and then they're getting all this fame in the United States. But imagine if you were in the United States and you went over to Japan to play, and that's the best league, and you'd miss the United States. So I get it. I get it. He's made enough money. He's had enough fame over here. Maybe it was just time for him to go home. And I don't know if we'll see him back, to be honest with you. I'm not really sure that's going to happen. But great career, no doubt, if that was the end for him to go back to Japan. But I thought he was a really good pitcher for the Yankees. So the Cubs this week, David, made a few moves as well. And for $3 million less, we got Kyle Schwarber's twin brother. Man, this is just the exact Kyle Schwarber and Jock Peterson are the exact same player. If you look at their career stats, you're going to be baffled. The home runs, the ribbies, the average, and the on-base percentage is almost eerily similar to each other. These guys are the same player, basically. Schwarber probably hits the ball a little farther. Maybe got a little more upside to him, I would say. But Jock Peterson plays way better defense. Jock struggles with the left-handed pitching, but I think he's going to get a chance to play every day, even against lefties. For the Dodgers, he never played when they were facing lefties. So I think he's a full-time player for the Cubs. I think he plays center field and moves Ian Happ to left field now, and we got Jason Hayward in right. So I think we've solved the outfield problem. We became a better team with Jock Peterson. We really did. With the losses that we made, we needed the outfielder. Last week we needed a catcher, and we got the backup catcher. This week we got the outfielder. And the problem is, David, is we needed one more pitcher. And this is where it gets kind of shady because I'm not sure we got that this week, but we tried. We got Cole Stewart, who is just going to kind of be a guy. I don't think he's going to make the team, to be honest with you. And then they signed Trevor Williams, who was probably the Pirates' number 5 or 4 or 3. Who knows where he really fit into that rotation. But his career is 31 and 37 with a 4.44 ERA. I'm just
hey, come on, let's be nice. Can we just be nice?
I'm not
impressed. If this is our 5th starter, we're in trouble. I'm just gonna leave it at that because it's very possible that he is gonna win that job, and he's terrible. So
he had a good season like 2 years ago. You're selling him short.
Yeah,
2018 numbers are good.
Yeah, going back to what I was saying before, maybe they can, instead of doing the DH thing, maybe he can pull out one of the backup catchers to pitch it when it's his go around or something like that.
Throw him in there. It's your turn today. It's Trevor's time. We're not seeing that again.
He's like that.
That's awesome. So
he's hurt.
Yeah, throw him out there. In another small move, the Cubs did lose Steven Suiza Jr. to the Astros on a minor league deal. He came over for the Cubs this year. I don't think he produced as much as they wanted him to, but he did okay. He was all right. He was only here for a few months, and now he's with the Astros. So one subtraction and 3 additions this week. I love the Jock Peterson move. The rest of it, yeah. But here we go. Tommy La Stella to the Giants, David. What was your thoughts on that?
Contract. They got him really kind of cheap. La Stella's a great player, kind of a late bloomer, so he's older than you think he is. I don't really know how this fits in with the Giants. That's what's got me scratching my head. So Donovan Solano last year came pretty close to winning a batting title. I guess it's going to move him into a utility role. La Stella's going to play second. I love La Stella. I just don't know how this fits for the Giants.
I agree 100%. I think Tommy Stella is a great ball player. I think the Giants are awful at baseball, so I don't know where this fits. I don't know how relevant it is. The Giants literally have no chance of making the playoffs with the Dodgers and the Padres in the mix. They're going to be at best 3rd place in that division, which will not get you a playoff spot. if you just being honest about it. So a little minor move for them. I think he actually is going to hit in the middle of their lineup, which tells you, if that tells you anything about the Giants. But he's a good ball player. There's no doubt about it. So it really is a good signing, but nothing too relevant as far as the standings go in the NL West. So the last move we got to talk about here before we get into our guest here is Eddie Rosario to the Indians, David. Yes.
I love this team. I am going to have to trade in my White Sox hat and maybe get an Indians hat. I don't know.
Do it.
No, I can't. No. White Sox are too good. But DJ, I think the Indians are sneaky, man. I think the Indians are real sneaky. I was looking at them today. They still got Plesac and Bieber and Savali out there in the rotation. I think their bullpen's going to be good with Karinchak and Emmanuel Clace and Cal Quantrill's out there. I think their lineup, if they could just get like one more bat, man, like one more bat, I think they'd be kind of scary because they still have Jose Ramirez at third. Either Rosario or Jimenez is going to play short. And now they got Cesar Hernandez back at second, who had a great year last year, a switch hitter. Add Rosario, and all of it on the cheap, man. Their payroll is still like less than $50 million. And so I would watch out for the Indians.
I'm telling you, man, this Central Division is honestly up for grabs. I really don't believe in the White Sox.
No,
I think the Twins and the Indians are going to give them fits. It's going to be nasty, man. I
definitely just got dumber. There's no way, DJ. The White Sox might have the best roster in all of baseball. Had they kept the best coach, DJ, they'd be there. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, man.
Kept the manager of the year. Yeah, the manager of the year, they might still be there, but no, the White Sox are far and away the better team. I'm just saying the Indians are sneaky in this whole thing. They are sneaky. So beware of the Indians and the Fighting Franconas. I like it.
So Rosario, David, man, this guy hit 32 bombs and had 109 ribbies in 2019. He's legit, man. This guy can play some baseball. And
great track record too, man. Like multiple seasons of 30 home runs or more. So I'm telling you, if they can make this work, old Franmil Reyes was bashing last year. They're gonna have. I forgot about Franmil in there. It's hilarious though. If you look at their MLB depth chart, they don't list a first baseman. So I don't know. I know they have Jake Bowers that could play there. They could possibly put Franmil there. I think he played there some, but right now they don't list a first baseman on their entire depth chart. So anyway, the Indians are interesting to me. I like these teams like the Rays and the Indians who can manage to somehow stay competitive. And don't sleep on the Indians.
First base is one of my best positions.
There you go.
Throw that there.
After you put up those big numbers at Colorado.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They
probably they might have heard that.
So Micah, now we get into the fun part, buddy. We are honored to have you join us tonight. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I want you to start out talking here, and you got the stage now, man. It's all yours. So I want you to start in high school. Talk about your high school baseball career in Atlanta. You're from Atlanta, and go through how you got to Temple to play baseball, and how you got to Temple in general. And let's talk about your days in Temple. Let's just roll. Let's have some fun. Let's talk about some stories. So starting with high school, show's yours, buddy.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you guys having me. DJ and David, always looked up to you guys over at Temple. But yeah, I guess high school wise, I went to a really tiny Christian school, and it was called Forest Hills Christian School. But I only had 8 people in my class, to put it in perspective. But we had quite a few sports. We had baseball, basketball, football, and golf, which I played all the sports. So I was busy. But that said, baseball was kind of the sport I was best at. So I played baseball, and my dad was actually the coach of the team. And that was a really good time. But with knowing the size of the school we had, we didn't really have too many players to pick from. So we basically had about 4 players who kind of knew what they were doing. And then everyone else was kind of, I'm here to learn, let's teach me. So which is great because it's a good opportunity for people who don't know how to play. But with that said, and also our competition was pretty weak. Like if we're playing someone, and they were just able to throw a strike, that was everyone was cheering. Everyone was like, yes, we got one. We got a strike. And not to mention, it was a little step above, how your dad used to throw to you when you're intermediate in between the kids pitching and the coaches pitching. So it was a little bit of step above that, but they still were just trying to just float it across the plate and, try to get a strike. So, but then it was kind of a wide range of teams though, because there would be teams like that. Then there'd be a team that was just like really, really good and they would just wipe the floor with us. But we were pretty average in high school, but we had a great time. I kind of did around the world. I played pitcher, I played catcher, first base and third base, and then we'd basically have 3 pitchers that we would alternate, and then we would typically go full game, which would a lot of times just be 5 innings because of the home run rule or whatever. their run rule. We had a lot of short games. But yeah, it was a great time. I mean, it was a good learning experience. And I grew up in Stone Mountain, and that's where Forest Hills was, and it was like literally connected to Stone Mountain. And our field was literally a rock. It was a brown rock. It looked like dirt. But once your cleats, I wore metal cleats and they wouldn't even, get down into the dirt. You have to hope for a little bit of water. You have to spit so you can, get your cleat in there. But anyway, that was first day of practice. We come in, all right, we're gonna get all the rocks off the field. And I'm like, okay. So we get up there, we throw rocks, and it's just like a rock mine. So when we slid, it was kind of ugly afterwards. So we also played we didn't have the best. Now I'm really thinking about it. We didn't have the best field, to say the least. We didn't have a fence. It was our football field was in the outfield. So we just hit it, and sometimes it would just go. Like it's a home run. It went into the parking lot, so therefore it's a home run. But yeah, like I said, it was a good time, good memories. We'd have players and we'd win any way we could. I remember, I don't know if y'all knew my roommate in Temple. He actually went to Temple for a little bit, but he also played. He was a basketball player, but we had him playing baseball. And one of my good memories was he did a swinging bunt, and he was like really slow. but he was running. He was really tall, really slow running, and then the guy just made a bad throw, and he ended up winning the game for us in extra innings.
Who was that?
And you remember Willie Hatcher?
No, I remember that name, but I think he was kind of after us.
Yeah, he was probably after. Well, he came same year I came, but he played basketball. But actually, not to be a Debbie Downer again, but he actually died in a car accident a year after he left Temple.
Oh man!
But
wow.
But anyway, so anyway, I guess but the thing that stuck out to me the most about my high school experience is we actually did. Once we got into the playoffs, you started playing some decent teams that knew what they were doing. We played this team down in South Georgia and I think it was called Glenville was the name of the team, but it was in Vidalia onion country, if you guys know about that. But we had some really good sweet onions down there, and it was actually on a Vidalia. The field was on a Vidalia onion farm, which is why I remember that, because we had some parents. Yeah, so parents would be out there. They would be picking onions while we were playing. And they're like, "Nice hit, nice job." Like, yeah, I got you one. But anyway, so I was it was a 2 out of 3 series. It was I'd say like probably our second playoff game. So whoever won this would go to the national, I guess the state championship. And anyway, so I was pitching, and one thing I didn't do, which after this I always did, but I did not cut my toenails that game, which when I was pitching, every time I came down, I was getting a lot of pain in my big toe. But I ended up pitching, and it was a good game. I don't remember the score, but we won. But I remember being a lot of pain for my toe, and it was just like throbbing pain. And then like I took my shoe off, and it was like totally black. I mean, it was like disgusting. And my dad, he was coaching, and I was staying in the hotel with him, and I was like unbearable pain. I couldn't sleep. We had to play a game. We had to play a doubleheader the next day. So so anyway, he's like, let me see it. So he's like, okay, I know what to do. So he got a fingernail clipper, and you know how it has the little, looks like a little knife, but it's like a fingernail file thing. So, and he basically drilled into my toenail, and with that, he finally got through there, through the toenail, and that released some disgusting liquid. But that gave me relief to play the next day, because it was like, oh man, I feel a lot better now. So anyway, after that big ordeal, played the next day, and I ended up pitching again, but unfortunately we came up short. But I definitely learned to always cut my toenails before I played baseball after that one. Who would have thought of that? Sorry, it's kind of a gross story, but it was like it's happened, so it was interesting. But anyway, from there I was like, okay, so what do I want to do with my life? I mean, where do I want to go to college and all this? And you know, baseball was decent, but like I said, the competition wasn't very good, and with that, without having good competition, it was kind of hard to really grow as a player. Really, even when they're just trying to throw a strike, it's like, okay, I'll either, like, why even swing? I'll just let them walk me. But anyway, ended up visiting Tennessee Temple, and remember it being I guess we practiced at a high school field, or it was kind of like maybe a rec league field. I'm not sure what it
Possibly
was.
a trash dump.
It was, yeah. It was in between. It was in between. In between a trash dump and a rec field, and then I think there's some gang activities going on outside in the parking lot. But nonetheless, I was like, okay, I haven't really had anyone else show any type of interest in me playing baseball in college. So, and then he's like, okay, you can play. So I felt like I'll make the team. I was like, okay, so I'm going to go to Temple, mostly to play baseball, but also I grew up in a very strict fundamental Baptist home, which I think y'all understand. But I was like, it's in between. It's not like Pensacola Christian where you can't, I mean, it's like, of course we thought it was bad until COVID came, but like PCC, you can't do anything. But Temple, had moderate rules, and it's close to home and all those sort of things. So, and I wanted to play baseball. I want to see how good I could get. I knew that I wasn't really challenged, and I wasn't really putting everything into baseball. So anyway, I made the decision to go there. And to be honest with you guys, once I got to Tennessee Temple and all that, it was great and loved baseball. But I mean, I was just kind of like, I basically just sat on the bench most of the time, at least the first couple of years. But I got to get a lot of good experience, and it was actually building a lot of camaraderie. And what I really remember the most is putting the tarp on the field. Do y'all remember that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I remember Coach Hall would always have the weather on. He's like in his office, and then he's like, okay, we need to go put the tarp on the field. And this is when I first realized that weathermen do not know what they're talking about. Because it's like, it's gonna rain. I remember, like, it would be, okay, we scheduled a game in late January. And it's like, okay, well, we're gonna need to go put the tarp on the field. Everyone get up before class and do it. And then we go do it, and then it wouldn't rain. It didn't rain. And so we'd have to go after class and pull the tarp back off. And and then is when I really realized, is like, so now I understand why baseball teams have a lot of players. It's not because they need 80 players. It's because they need some people to take care of the field. They're like, hey, we need you to get out of here and put the tarp on. But we only had like 15 players. And then it was always like, oh, I got a test. I really need to study for that. So then we'd be down to 10. But yeah, I truly believe that. But after maybe my sophomore year, I started to get a little bit of playing time, and starting to come around with a knuckle curveball, which Coach Rogers, I believe, showed us how to throw the knuckle curveball, and started to get a little more confident. But I guess going back to the first freshman year, I didn't want to get ahead of myself, but so I remember one of the spring games, one of the fall games. I wanted to make a name for myself. All right, I finally got up to bat. It was like, all right, well, it's ninth inning. We're getting killed. Hey, Micah, get out there and try to hit the ball. I was like, okay, coach. Now that it doesn't matter. So anyway, I somehow got on base. I think I had one of those swinging bunts, and I was able to get on base. Made my way around to third somehow, and I was like, okay, I got to do something. So I didn't tell anyone, but the pitcher went up to throw the ball at the plate, and I just took off. I was like, I'm gonna steal home. So I took off. I didn't tell anyone. I believe, I can't remember, someone big was at bat, and they swung. And I was like, I got to get out. Let me get out of the way. So I like go back, and then he swung, and then it was like really weird because the catcher had the ball, and then I was like trying to dance my foot to touch the plate, but he got me just in time. So and then that's how the game ended. So it was like Micah, what were you doing? I was like, I had a feeling. And I'm just gonna go for it. That's what baseball is all about, following your dreams. I had a dream, had a vision. And so I went toward home, and it just didn't work out. But I did get some respect. I remember them saying I had some balls, but that was a ballsy move. And I was like, hey, look, didn't work out, but not everyone would try that. So, made a little name for myself. But anyway, that completed the fall season, and so did a lot of long toss, did a lot of 20-minute miles, like barely, but keeping that heart rate up. That's what was Coach Rogers' thing. He was like, you don't have to run fast. I was like, thank God, but you just need to keep it going, keep the heart rate up. So I did that. I remember Dusty. He was always like, man, it's like we're barely walking. I mean, he's like, we're barely running, we're walking. It's like a power walk. And we're like, this is great. I can do this all day. I can't run, but I can power walk all day. So that was his big thing, just keeping the heart rate up. But another thing that stuck out to me was that when we did play against UT, I got the opportunity to pitch, which went well. I threw 3 pitches and had 2 outs, but then the next player hit a double on me, and then the next player, they hit a home run, and they actually had some sort of home run record, and they were all going crazy. The whole fans are going, they're all like going nuts, and it's like University of Tennessee versus Tennessee Temple. So if they're going crazy over a home run, it's like, all right, something big must have happened. So all the ball girls were going crazy, and I was like, oh well, at least I'm getting some recognition here. I was like, oh yeah, you're the guy. Yeah, you're the guy. So that was my experience at UT. But it was so fun. Is like, D1, I have a story to tell. Someone capitalize off me pitching that day. But another milestone for me was we were playing a team that was in Selma, Alabama. Maybe they were called Selma, but I remember it being really, really cold, and I believe we won that game. But I hit I believe I know I hit a home run, but I believe it was a walk-off home run that I hit, which was my first home run.
Nice.
In college. So that was a good experience. And then I remember us eating into this buffet afterwards, which was very nice.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't CC's buffet?
It was not CC's. I think it was a special day because we won and we were going out of town, and Coach Hall had the budget saved up for that special occasion. He had it in his kitty, I think that's what he called it. Did he call it like a little kitty?
Oh yeah.
So and then I think the best game memory I had pitching was against Palm Beach Atlantic. I think it was the second year we went down to Miami, or maybe no, it was probably the first year. Were you playing DJ at that point? Y'all both were gone.
We didn't get to go to Miami, unfortunately.
Oh, it was fun. It was fun, but yeah, it was a good time. But anyway, against Palm Beach Atlantic, I started off, got through two batters with the no hitter going, and then the third batter got a hit, got a single, and knocked me out on that stat. But long story short, I believe I gave up 2 earned runs, and we were winning 3-2 when I was pulled, and we ended up losing like 5-3 or something like that. But Palm Beach Atlantic was a pretty good team, and it was a good experience. So I felt like probably the best game that I pitched in college. So
awesome.
So that was basically my career in a nutshell. Had a great time. It kind of became a chore. I don't know if y'all experienced that or not, but over time, I played for 5 years, and I took a red shirt, and I was just not going to play. But then I guess coach wanted me to play, and he'd offered me more scholarships, so decided to take it. But it just, so many games and all that, plus playing since you're 5 years old. And then I guess the other variables, realizing I'm not going to be going to the pros or anything. So I was like, when I was a 5th year senior, I was like, okay, I got to actually figure out what I'm going to do my next year. I can't just, come back and just be on cruise control again. So, but I'm glad I had a great time at Tennessee Temple. And of course, we still are talking now. So great people. We were small, but very close, and had a great time. Had a lot of Twinkie eating contests and all kinds of crazy stuff is going on as freshmen.
I've got to interject right there because I was part of that. DJ, you were a part of that. Micah was involved in a spring break. I think it was actually ho-hos, if I remember right, DJ.
That's what I was just thinking. In my mind, I was like, that wasn't a Twinkie. That was a ho-ho.
Oh, yes, because they had to be black so we could cover them up better.
Yeah, we had infused some chocolate-flavored X-Lax into some ho-hos, and Micah and Dusty Childers were slamming those things down, and Dusty was eating those things like stomach of steel. I mean, just, no emotion, just one after the other. Poor Micah, he got in there a little ways and got the pukes. Later we had to tell Dusty, because I think he might have had to pitch the next day or something. We had to just break the news to him. Those were full of X-Lax. So he went and made himself get rid of them as well. But that was a really fun time. I believe that was down in Florida, if I'm not mistaken. Y'all remember when we played in that tournament in Florida and stayed in that really bad dorm or whatever? I believe that's where that was.
Yes. We played like
Clearwater
some national
or
team or something.
Yeah. And if you remember, that's also when the rainbow came off of the rainbow van.
Yeah.
Same trip. So.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
Well, that's awesome, man.
It definitely is. Yeah, man. I got a lot of pictures, Micah, of us playing ball together. There's a few of them, anyways. Some team
Yeah.
photos and that kind of stuff. And that was definitely, a really cool experience to get to play with you, man. You were a good teammate. It was definitely great to have you on the roster there, even though we didn't get to hang out with you very long since we were old and on our way out the door when you were pretty much beginning your career. But
Yeah.
so did you throughout your 5 years there, did you play every year with Coach Hall? Was his last year also your last year? You remember?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, I played every year with Coach Hall, and then after my senior year, I believe Gus Hernandez's dad took it over.
Yep.
So, but yeah, it was a great time. Coach Hall was a great coach, great friends. Learned a lot from him. Super nice guy.
Still hoping to have him on the show, Coach. Where you at, buddy?
Yeah. Coach, we need you. We need you, Coach.
Michael, who else you want to call out right now while we're at it?
I'm telling you what, Matt Locklear, he needs to get on this podcast. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know if he's like too busy, too involved with his own things going on, but there are people out here who want to hear what you have to say, Matt.
Yes.
Being selfish, Matt. And if we're going to have Matt Locklear, we got to have his former roommate on, Jason Hart. Now, I'm not sure. Jason might be in jail for organized crime. I don't know. Just never knew whether to trust that guy or not. But those two were roommates, and we need both those guys on our show.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I did also randomly bump into Jason Hart.
Wow.
Well, this was several years ago, probably 6 years ago, just at the local breakfast place I go to. But I haven't seen him since then. So
I think you might be on his list. I don't know, Jason. He might have been stalking you. I just never was sure about him. He just something about him was a little bit shaky. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, that's true. Well, I mean, when I saw him, I'm like, why are you following me? I'm just kidding.
Come
Lee
on, Jason.
Salyers, Josh Hill, Lee Salyers. Come on, guys.
Yeah. What's the deal with these people? Did they grow up or what's going on?
I don't know. They got too much going on. They can't come on and hang out with us for, we haven't seen them in 20 years, but they can't spend 2 hours with us,
I tell you what, I'm gonna lay it all on the line. Miller Direct will donate a free banner to the next person who comes on. Those names you mentioned.
Nice.
So we gotta reach
That's
out.
a good deal right there. That's a good deal.
Yeah, you can't beat free. I even ship it to you for free.
That's awesome, man. So cool. So you've been called out, all 7 of you knuckleheads that we just mentioned right there, or however many that was. But that'd be great, man. And I don't know, David, do you got anything else to add, buddy? Any other questions or anything to add or jump on here? Micah, how about you, buddy?
No, I think this is really cool. I'm going to start following along. I'm going to help grow this podcast, do my part, start spreading the word around here, make my employees listen to it, play it over the intercom.
Well, you know what we do, since we do have a lot of you guys on, actually, there is a lot of Braves talk that does happen on this podcast. That's for sure. Like, if you look at the list of all the guys that we played with, about 3/4 of them are Braves fans. So when we have guys on here, we do a lot of Braves talk. So definitely get them involved because we talk some Braves on here, no doubt. So we appreciate it, Micah. Thank you so much for coming on tonight, buddy. We really, like I said, we were a great teammate. We had a lot of fun in our days together, and really appreciate you spending a couple hours with us tonight, buddy.
No problem, man. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for having me, and it was a great time playing baseball with you guys. It's been kind of crazy thinking about it. I haven't even thrown a ball in a while. Of course, I didn't tell the one Braves story I was going to tell was I went to the Braves Cubs game probably 4 years ago, and I was in the left field seats, probably like 15 seats up. Anyway, Cub, of course, they hit a home run, and it's coming straight at me. and I field it perfectly. Somehow it bounces in front of me. I field it perfectly, and I just no hesitation, just throw it into the field, just like they would do to us. Just throw it right in the field. And then my first thought was like, man, that really hurt my arm. I shouldn't have done that. But then I saw like a little kid like staring at me like, why did you just do that? I wanted that ball. I'm like, I'm sorry, man. So
That's awesome.
but that was a good time though.
That's awesome. Well, good luck to your Braves, Micah. I hope they finish in 5th place in the NL East this year. And
All right, we're gonna beat expectations. We'll beat expectations. I like a low target. Now for 4th, like boom. Trash talk.
All right. Thanks to all of our fans out there for coming on the show and checking us out this week. We're working on our next week's show, what we're going to do still. That'll be to be determined. But thanks again, Micah and David, as always, buddy. And everybody have a great night.
Didn't you